To add insult to injury, according to Huffington Post, a Justice Department attorney last week argued in court that the Trump administration should not be required to provide soap, toothbrushes, beds, sheets, or cleanliness for children snatched from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border. That's what this filthy fucking Christian bitch argued. Her name is Sara Fabian. And she argued before the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit that forcing children to sleep on cold concrete floors in cells is both, her words, safe and sanitary. What kind of a deranged bitch is this? I bet she prays to her Jesus all the time. What do you think? Now, what they're arguing is what I said, the 1997 settlement agreement. The case it was entitled from a woman named Jenny Flores, or a child named Jenny Flores, that established a framework for the humane treatment of migrant minors who have been detained by the Christian United States. Children must be housed in safe and sanitary conditions. So this bitch, Sara Fabian, this unconscionable bitch, Sara Fabian, says, well, if they sleep on cold concrete floors, that's safe, that's sanitary. A district judge added the specific requirements to the Flores agreement that children must be provided with soap and toothbrushes. We live in a fucking country where a judge has to order that. To the law enforcement, the detention facilities, the people who are ripping children away from their parents, a judge has to tell them, by the way, you've got to make sure the kids have soap and toothbrushes. This is how fucked this country has become. Members of the three-judge appellate panel appeared stunned by the bitch Fabian's remarks that it's safe and sanitary to sleep on concrete floors in a fucking torture facility, no problem. Judge William Fletcher said, quote, "Are you arguing seriously that you do not read the agreement as requiring you to do something other than what I just described? Cold all night long, lights on all night long, sleeping on concrete, and you've got an aluminum foil blanket? And that to you is safe and sanitary," he said to the bitch Sara Fabian, a Trump government lawyer. The judge added, "I find it inconceivable that the government would say that that is safe and sanitary." End quote. Judge Fletcher, do you not know where you live? Do you not know what the Trump administration considers just a matter of course, torturing children? You better fucking wake up, Judge. Don't act surprised when a bitch like Sara Fabian, a government attorney, comes in and says, yeah, children sleeping on a filthy fucking concrete floor is both safe and sanitary. Don't be shocked when you hear that. How can you be shocked? Are you not part of the fucking system, Judge? Judge Marcia Berzon, another judge in this three-judge appellate court, asked this bitch Sara Fabian, quote, You're really going to stand up and tell us that being able to sleep isn't a question of safe and sanitary conditions? You can't be sanitary or safe as a human being if you can't sleep. End quote. I'm sure that was instructive to the bitch Sara Fabian, the attorney representing the Trump administration. I'm sure that was edifying. You can't be sanitary or safe as a human being if you can't sleep. Judge Bearzone, you're missing a salient point. These fucking Christians don't consider the children to be human. They couldn't. In what they're doing to these kids, would they do this to their own kids? They don't consider these immigrant children to be human. The bitch Sara Fabian, the attorney, was challenging an order by a U.S. district judge in Los Angeles who appointed an independent monitor to ensure that the federal government complies with the Flores settlement and specifically complies with such required items as soap and toothbrushes and a blanket and water and food. The bitch Sara Fabian, the attorney for the Trump administration, argued that those requirements are not in the original settlement. What a fucking bitch this woman has to be. She argued, quote, one has to assume parties couldn't reach agreement on how to enumerate that, or it was left to the agencies to determine, end quote. Back to Judge Fletcher. He responded to that by saying, or it was relatively obvious, at least obvious enough so that if you're putting kids in a crowded room to sleep on a concrete floor with an aluminum foil blanket on top of them, that doesn't comply with any agreement. And then he added, it may be they don't get super thread count Egyptian linen. I get that. I understand at some outer boundary there may be some definitional difficulty, but no one would argue that the current situation is safe and sanitary. And I would have added, you insane fucking bitch. That's why I'm not a judge. He added, as for soap, it wasn't perfumed soap. It was soap. That sounds like it's part of safe and sanitary. Are you disagreeing with that? He asked Sara Fabian, this bitch who represents the Trump administration, to deny children soap. Judge Wallace Tashima said that such items are, quote, within everybody's common understanding that if you don't have a toothbrush, if you don't have soap, if you don't have a blanket, it's not safe and sanitary. Wouldn't everybody agree to that? Do you agree to that? And the bitch Sara Fabian responded, well, maybe. The attorneys for the children argued that even though soap and toothbrushes weren't specifically mentioned in that 1997 settlement, they must be provided because they would be, quote, reasonably interpreted as part of the agreement under law. Peter Shea, One of the kid's attorneys said, quote, "The first thing you do is honor the plain meaning of words like safe and sanitary." What the fuck does that mean to you, bitch, Sara Fabian? What the fuck goes on in your roach-infested home, huh? The attorney added, quote, "Today we have a situation where once a month a child is dying in custody. Certainly the Border Patrol facilities are secure, but they're not safe and they're not sanitary." End quote. It is not clear when the Ninth Circuit, based in San Francisco, will issue a decision in the case. Meanwhile, this filthy fucking gang of Christian Nazi sons of bitches that work for Trump, including Trump, earlier this month ordered that English language classes be stopped, that recreational programs like soccer games and a soccer ball be stopped, and legal aid for locked up children be stopped. This is where we live. This is the Christian nation that these Nazi fuckers have been telling us since Reagan we live in. We live in a Christian nation. We are Christians. I wouldn't be a fucking Christian if somebody held a fucking sword over my head and said, "Your head's going to come off if you don't accept our Christian belief. Fuck you, cut it off." Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.